Hi everyone, in this video I am going to start the new chapter Plant Kingdom. Kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae includes all multicellular, eukaryotic, chlorophyll containing, photosynthetic, mostly autotrophic organisms commonly called plants. Types of taxonomy. Very first one, cytotaxonomy. The use of cytological characters of plants in classification or in solving taxonomic problems is called cytotaxonomy. Cytotaxonomy is based on cytological information like chromosome number, structure, and behavior, etc. Kingdom Plantae contains plants which are multicellular, eukaryotic, chlorophyll containing, photosynthetic, mostly autotrophic organisms. Cytotaxonomy, it is the classification of plants based on cytological characters like chromosome number, chromosomal structure, and behavior, etc. Chemotaxonomy. Chemotaxonomy is based on the chemical constituents of plants. The basic chemical compounds used in chemotaxonomy are alkaloids, carotenoids, tannins, polysaccharides, nucleic acids, fatty acids, amino acids, aromatic compounds, etc. Numerical taxonomy. It is defined as the numerical evaluation of the similarity between groups of organisms and the ordering of these groups into higher ranking taxa on the basis of these similarities. It aims to create a taxonomy using numerical algorithms like cluster analysis rather than using subjective evaluation of their properties. In numerical taxonomy, all characters have similar importance. Alpha taxonomy. In this classification of a new species in which it is named, formally described, and categorized at a basic level, typically using morphological characteristics. Omega taxonomy. It is the modern experimental taxonomy in which the taxonomic activities have been enriched with all data from ecology, phytochemistry, phylogeography, cytogenetics, physiology, etc., coupled with adequate computation. Types of classification systems. The very first one, practical classification system. In this type, plants are classified on the basis of their economic importance or human use. This classification system is the earliest classification system. Example, oil yielding plants, coconut, walnut, soybean. Fiber yielding plants, jute, cotton. Medicinal plants, Rauwolfia, cinchona, eucalyptus. Note, in this classification, any one plant can be a member of more than one group. Example, turmeric, multi-uses plant. It gives both medicines and spices. Second one, artificial classification system. In this type, plants classified on the basis of one or two morphological characters, overall morphology not considered. Example, Linnaeus introduced artificial classification and he classified plants on basis of stamens mainly into 24 classes. Note, in the book Species Plantarum, Linnaeus classified the plant kingdom into 24 classes on the basis of stamens. So, classification of Linnaeus is also called sexual system of classification. In this system, equal weightage is given to both vegetative and reproductive characters. Natural system of classification. In this type, plants are classified on the basis of their complete gross morphological characters of stem, root, leaves, flowers, etc. Importance. Natural classification is believed to be the best classification because it represents the natural similarities and dissimilarities of plants. That means it represents the interrelationship among the plants. In this, not only the external features but also internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. This type of classification for flowering plants was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. Bentham and Hooker classification published a book called Genera Plantarum in 3 volumes. In this book, they classified and mentioned plants into 202 natural orders. These natural orders now calling as families. According to this, 165 families are dicots, 34 families are monocots, and 3 families are gymnosperms. Bentham and Hooker placed gymnosperms in between dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous plants. Phylogenetic classification system. It is based on evolutionary relationships between the various organisms are acceptable. This assumes that organisms belongs to the same taxa have a common ancestor. We now use information from many other sources to help resolve difficulties in classification. These become more important when there is no supporting fossil evidence. Example Engler and Prantl, the nature lichen Flungen mammalian. Present following classification system is APG system, Angiospermic phylogenetic classification system. Kingdom Plantae includes Algae or Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Spermatophyta, which is again classified into Gymnospermae and Angiospermae. Very first one, algae. The study of algae is called phycology. Fritsch is considered as father of phycology. The scientist M.O.P. Iyengar considered as father of Indian phycology. Nature of algae. Generally, algae are found in both fresh and marine water. Algae are found in many forms like filamentous, colonical. Algae are surrounded by mucilaginous sheath, and below the sheath, cell wall is present. The cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin, but mainly made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, and minerals like calcium carbonate. On the basis of structure, algae are thalloid, which means plant body is not differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. Tissue systems also absent in algae. On the basis of nutrition, algae are photoautotrophic. They have photosynthetic pigments which performs photosynthesis. Classification of algae is mainly based on pigmentation. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotenoids are universal pigments of algae. Reproduction. Algae performs all 3 types of reproductions like vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction. Very first one, vegetative reproduction. It was done by fragmentation. Filaments break down into small pieces. These pieces grown into new filaments. Asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction done by zoospores, which are formed in favorable conditions, and aplanospores, hypnospores, and achenids also formed in unfavorable conditions. Sexual reproduction. Male sex organ is called antheridium and female sex organ is called oogonium. The sex organs of algae are unicellular and jacketless. But exceptionally, sex organs of green algae, Chara. Chara is green algae known as stonewort, are multicellular and jacketed. The male sex organ of Chara is known as globule and female is known as nucleule. Plant body of algae is haploid. So sexual reproduction takes place through zygotic meiosis. So their life cycle is haplontic, but exceptionally brown algae are diplontic. Example, fucus. In fucus, life cycle is diplontic. Algae reproduced by zygotic meiosis. That means first division zygote is meiosis. So embryo is not formed. Sexual reproduction is of three types: isogamous, seen in Chlamydomonas, Debarinum, Elothrix, Ectocarpus, Spirogyra, Cladophora. Anisogamous, Chlamydomonas browni, oogamous, Chlamydomonas coccifera, sargassum, volvox, fucus, and Chara. Note: in Chlamydomonas species, gametes are flagellated and similar in size, which is called isogamy. In Spirogyra, gametes are non-flagellated, non-motile, and similar in size. It is also best example for isogamy. In Chlamydomonas, flagellated, motile, similar in size. In Spirogyra, non-flagellated, non-motile, but similar in size. Let's check the diagrammatic representation of asexual spores, zoospores of Chlamydomonas and Chara plant. Another diagram showing Chara sex organs, globule or antheridium or male reproductive organ, nucleule or oogonium or female reproductive organ. Let's see these diagrams carefully for your better understanding. The classification of algae is mainly based on pigmentation. In addition to this, cell wall composition and stored food material. Based on this, algae is divided into 11 classes. Among these, following three are main classes. Number 1, chlorophyceae or green algae. Number 2, phaeophyceae or brown algae. Number 3, rhodophyceae or red algae.